It just states that, oh, there we go.
Let
This
me,
host has disabled participant screen sharing.
pardon?
When I click screen share, it says
Yeah.
host disable participant screen sharing.
So let me think about this.
The light. Not the fan, sorry.
Okay, you're the co-host now.
Okay.
Okay.
And the bar is in the way. Minimize it really quickly. Okay. What's the version? You know, the keyboard, this thing is in the way. Let me go to this first slideshow. Okay. Let me share. Okay. Can you
All
hear
right.
it?
Yeah. Keep playing it.
Did I sign in too early?
Nope, I can't hear it.
Let me find why my.
No, I'm talking to the presenter. Whoever's talking, I'm talking to the presenter. I can't hear that. So let me see something on my end. Because this happened before, and I don't know if I have to do.
You can hear it now?
Hello, and welcome to the Transliteracy Project, created by Honest Accomplice Theater. I'm your host, Maybe Burke. Today we're going to kick off the Transliteracy Project video series with Trans 101, so we can lay a foundation before you move on to future episodes.
Was that good?
Very good. Very loud.
Okay.
I got to turn my speaker down.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and just move over to the beginning then. Okay.
Okay, I am going to wait. My sponsor is going to be coming in a minute, and I just need to talk to her, and then we'll be ready to go.
Okay, awesome.
Those were some good questions that girl sent me today, too.
Yes, they were. They
Yeah.
were.
And that's what they're looking for.
Okay.
So it's all good.
Michigan Marriage Amendment was approved by 59% of Michigan voters in 2004, which enshrined the state's constitution and relationships that same-sex couples cannot be recognized for any purpose. This included medical benefits and sponsored health benefits from employers' plans too. So in 2015, marriage equality looked like this. It was some states allowed it, some states didn't allow it, some states banned LGBT marriage, but some others didn't. There was cases going on, so it was just like a big block of I don't know what to do with this. Let's try to figure something out. But marriage equality today, as of June 2016, is the law of the land, which is a great thing. How did we get there, though? United States v. Windsor and Ogleville v. Hodges, two important cases. So let's talk about United States v. Windsor. This was a lesbian couple. They got married and they lived in New York, and they got married in Canada. They got married in New York, and they lived together for over 40 years. Then the state of New York didn't want to recognize their marriage under DOMA. And then Thea, the lady in the blue, passed away, and they refused to give Edie her inheritance. Now, her estate was worth over $40 million.
Oh, Lord.
So in this landmark case, the Supreme Court ruled that the Section 3 under DOMA was unconstitutional, and that the federal government cannot discriminate against married lesbians and gay couples for the purpose of determining federal benefits and protections. But Windsor did not prevent states like Michigan from enforcing their own state laws version of DOMA, including Ohio as well. So she won that case, which was awesome. She got all that money, but that was a landmark case for all of us. Ogleville v. Hodges. So this was actually, we had a plaintiff here in the state of Michigan, and their family is up there at the top photo, the Bars. The plaintiff in these cases were 14 same-sex couples from Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Tennessee. They all had different variations of their union. The main one in Michigan is that they wanted to adopt all their special needs adopted children, and only one of them can actually do it without a second parent adoption. So they challenged these under the 14th Amendment, that the state constitution, by filing a lawsuit in federal government in their state homes. Ogleville v. Hodges, it could have been called the Deborahs v. Snyder, but Ogleville v. Hodges filed their paperwork 2 hours before. So there you go, it's Ogleville v. Hodges. The plaintiff argued that the 14th Amendment required the states to allow same-sex marriages and recognize the validity of some marriages to perform under other jurisdictions. So if you got married in one state that accepts same-sex marriage, it should be accepted here in Michigan as well. So holding the rule of law. The 14th Amendment requires the same-sex couples to have the right to marry in every state, and that made it marriage equality true across the land. The 14th Amendment also required that the states must license marriages to same-sex couples. That's why the one lady, I believe she was in Kentucky, she was fired from her job because she refused to write a marriage license to a same-sex couple. The 14th Amendment requires that the state must recognize same-sex couples that have been licensed and performed lawfully out of state as well. So that's why you can marry in Ohio and it be recognized by the state of Michigan. And these are just some benefits that people receive under marriage. Social Security, survivor, spouse support, federal taxes, adoption rights, automatic inheritance, divorce protections, and so on and so forth. These are some of the benefits this is the reason why LGBT folks fought for marriage equality for so long, because these benefits really create a transfer of wealth for everyone. And I think everyone who loves one another, builds an empire, or builds some type of some income, are able and should be able to pass that on to their offspring or to their other family members. But it was wonderful, but Ogleville was not enough. Discrimination. So marriage does not automatically make same-sex couples legal parents in the state of Michigan. So second parent adoptions are still necessary. Still legal to be fired in the state of Michigan, and tomorrow's the deadline for the Fair and Equal Michigan Act to receive the 300,000 signatures that it needs to make sure that our Civil Rights Act to include and have these LGBT protections on the ballot in November. So I think 2 weeks ago, we needed about 40,000 signatures left. And I'm hoping that we're very close. And it's also still legal to be denied housing here and in other states across the country. And then there is no national protection protecting sexual identity as a protected class. We have a current case that's happening right now, which is Amy Stevens. She was a transgender woman who was fired from her job when she was a funeral director. She was leaving for vacation. She wrote her boss a note stating that she will be presenting as a female when she comes back. She's been transgender all her life, as long as she can remember. She lives as a woman at home, but changes into male garb or male drag when she comes to work. And she wanted to present herself as a woman when she comes back to work. And when she came back to work, the boss said, this is not going to work. And so she sued the boss for sex discrimination. And the court heard the arguments, the Supreme Court heard the arguments in October 8th, and we are still awaiting the trial or the verdict. We're still waiting for the verdict from the Supreme Court. A couple weeks ago, unfortunately, Amy Stevens did pass away in hospice care in the state of Michigan. And we are so sorry for that loss, but she has the landmark case that will allow protections for all LGBT folks across this nation to not have any of these issues happen to any of us, especially when it comes to workplace enforcement and discrimination. Any questions before I move on to the next section? All right, so this is what you guys are here for. Let's dig into caring for LGBTQ patients. I think this is a really poignant topic. So caring for us, you have to come into, especially when they're older adults, you have to come into a point of where they've been to know how you can go with their care. So an older LGBT adult may be living most of their life in a socially intolerant, hostile, LGBT hostile environment. They may have been disowned by their family at a younger age. There's a lack of trust for professionals because they may have had a run-through with a bigoted doctor or a homophobic doctor. They didn't feel comfortable sharing that personal information. I know from personal experience, when I was in college, I had to go see the doctor and they asked you the same questions. Do you have sexual relations with male or female or both? And when I said male, the doctor just was very short with me for the rest of the day. He didn't say anything else to me. He actually stormed out of the room and got another lady doctor to come in and talk to me for the rest of the day. And ever since then, I never went back to his office. And that means past medical and professional trauma. People don't treat you well. So if you've grown up, people not liking your lifestyle, then you may be closed off. And so we need to open up the areas of communication and start creating safe spaces. Healthcare providers must recognize that a therapeutic relation that will require trust and respect, creating an environment that safely allows disclosure of sexual orientation in relationships, and sensitivity and gathering of sexual and social history. Knowing the geographical location that you may be in and knowing that there may be certain aspects of that community that may not support this person, you have to be the supporter because everyone deserves healthcare. LGBTQ patients, they are more likely to be alienated from their children or grandchildren. They may be soloed or without any children, and they have extensively have a chosen family of support that can be vulnerable by aging and illness. So when they go into an assisted living facility or they're looking for a place to live, they tend to want to be with other people they know are LGBT as well, you know? And so they can have that comfortability factor. And if they're moving into a facility with their long-term partner they never married, they want to make sure that facility is inclusive. Many who have lived wholly or partially in the closet have an elaborate construct to protect their sexual orientation. They do not want people to know that they are LGBT because of past trauma. And they are at risk of exposure with disability or sickness. And they don't want people to know that either. So how can all of you be inclusive? And it just starts off with inclusive language. Ask them for their preferred pronouns. He, him, his, she, her, hers, they, them, theirs. And use the word partner instead of wife or husband. Does anyone have a question? Okay. So use the wife or partner or husband. Use partner instead of wife or husband. And you can use these things in your daily lives. Instead of talking to all your friends and say, oh, my husband did this, or my wife did that. You can always just say, oh yeah, my partner did this, my partner did that. And it just comes with a knowledge of like, oh, they said partner. They didn't say husband or wife. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But what happens is if there's anyone in your space that is LGBT, they would feel more comfortable coming to you just because you changed that one type of verbiage when describing your home life, because that's what LGBT folks want to do. They want to bring their home life into the work just like heterosexual people do all the time, right? So create an inclusive environment. So your organization's non-discrimination policy, is it visible in a location? Does it include LGBTQ in or spelled out, those acronyms spelled out in your discrimination policy? Is it posted somewhere? Is it visible? Is it in the employee handbook? Is it in your marketing materials when you're sending someone a brochure to stay at your facility? A rainbow flag, a pink triangle, or other symbols of inclusiveness in your marketing will be great aspects and welcoming aspects to bring to the forefront as well. So something simple, like you have all of your wheelchair accessible, ADA accessible icon, and all these little certifications. Put a small rainbow flag in the corner of your brochure or on your website to make people know that, oh, this is an LGBTQ inclusive facility as well. Or I'm a LGBTQ inclusive social worker. The ability of unisex restrooms, that is a big thing because there is a huge uproar about bathroom bills happening in North Carolina and all these other places. And then my view of that is if you're in a stall, that's your business, right? That's just my personal thought process of that. But if there is a unisex bathroom, are they single stall bathrooms? Are they multiple stall bathrooms? Whatever will make everyone feel comfortable. If a single stall bathroom is the best way to go, do that. And that way one person can be in the restroom at a time. Healthcare education, literature with diverse images and inclusive language, including information about LGBTQ health. The average LGBTQ studying for a medical profession is only 2.2 hours. So congratulations, you're getting another hour in this as well. But yeah, we have to increase this, because without increasing the knowledge base on how to care for different minority communities or marginalized communities, we won't truly develop that equity that we need to in healthcare. And COVID-19 has exacerbated that really blatant inequalities within our healthcare system here in the United States and around the world as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Kevin. So going back to a rainbow flag, pink triangle, symbols, and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
I'm actually asking the audience as well. In the hospital, does anybody put that out, or do they show that? Does the hospital frown on that? Are they, are they okay, in your work environment, to do that?
So I work in a clinic and I have a little rainbow flag on my billboard, and I work for an Ascension hospital system, and it's been fine. So
Oh, okay, so that's on your, where is it posted?
I have a on my cork board in my office. I work in an outpatient clinic.
Okay, so that's in your cork board. Who can see that? Just your coworkers. But how do you?
It's for clients to see. When clients come into my office for an intake, they can see
Oh,
or that there's a flag there.
gotcha. Okay,
Awesome.
that's good. I mean, anybody else? You know, do they wear a ribbon on themselves? If because I know some hospitals you can't go into their cubicle; you have to go into the room. Do they bring something in their clipboard showing that they're,
Well, last year, Hearing for Health Systems, which is our biggest partner with the chamber, they bought pride flags and they flew them at several of their local hospitals and at their corporate office during Pride Month. They also accept LGBT-owned businesses as suppliers, so they're actively looking for people who has their own business that are LGBT to include them in buying PPE and other medical devices from LGBT suppliers. So that's what I've seen in the medical profession. I know that there are some health systems that are, I believe, religious based. I'm not sure how that actually trickled down to all the employees. But I hear that Trinity Health does have an LGBTQ employee resource group. And if you guys have those kind of like employee resource groups, those self-help groups to all the moms get together or all the LPNs, these are great groups to be able to have a conversation and share the pros and cons of your jobs and how you can be more inclusive of bringing more people, because every organization and every group needs allies, and bringing people that don't look like you inside of the conversation, whether it be males or females, gay, straight, those people can really give you some really great ideas on how to grow and be truly an ally. For example, just a historical fact, when it came to the women's movement and the civil rights movement, a lot of Black women went on to the women's movement to fight for women's rights together with everyone, with all women. And they fought that to get everyone the right to vote. So Black women were truly being an ally, not only for themselves, but for the women's humanities. And so those are some really great examples of how to truly be inclusive. But inside your offices, yes, put up a pride flag, wear a pin, wear a lapel sticker. It's easy to buy and find an LGBT sticker and just put it on the back of your name badge. Those are really great indicators that you are supportive. Or get a sticker that's rainbow and has the word ally in it.
Kevin, another question that I have on thought is, and I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up, or maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I sometimes feel, I mean, I have a lot of gay, lesbian friends, and I have no problem with that. When I do, and you will probably agree, is sometimes there's some queens out there that go above, way over the top, and they are like, they have to walk into a room and announce to everybody that they're gay. You know what I'm saying? And they're very super flamboyant. And even some of my gay friends are like, oh gosh, we've got drama, or they shut them down and that sort of thing. And I think sometimes the straight people feel like, why do they have to come in and do that? When do we come in and go, oh, I'm Italian, the Italian's here, kind of thing. And that's what it sometimes feels like when a queen comes in and does that. What's your thoughts on that?
For one, I will respectively say do not refer to them as queens. They're
Okay.
people. When you see a quote, I wanted to say a quote, but it just escaped me. But when you see someone who's flamboyant and out there, they're being themselves. So you can't try to put them in a bottle because they are who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just a maturity level that they have to get over, but sometimes it's naturally how people are. So respect that. When it comes to that comment of maybe like they have to announce that they're gay, when people are, or a society or people who are oppressed that can't live their life freely, they're bottled up, they're marginalized, victimized, all that time, when they are in a space where they feel like they can be free, all of that kind of comes out
Okay.
in themselves. I mean, comes out and they feel like this is a safe space. They want to announce to the world that they love their partner or they are who they are LGBT, and because a lot of that sometimes are not hidden. They couldn't do that when they was a child because they had really strict parents, or they
Right.
couldn't do that because they were around certain type of family members or a group setting. But if they're around and they're saying yes girl, yes queen, da 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 da, then that's just who they are. It's not throwing it in people's faces, I would say. It's because heterosexual people are able to walk down the street and hold hands any time of the day, any day. And in a way, that's their privilege, and it's not necessarily the gay person's privilege right now. In 6 countries across around this world, it is illegal to be LGBT, put to death, legal to kill them on site.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
when you're talking about marginalized and oppressed communities, you have to realize where they're coming from. Some people
Mm-hmm.
are going to be flamboyant and loud and boisterous, but hey, have you ever had a dinner with the Italians? They are great. I love the energy in that room, right? And they have amazing food. So you take people as they are, and if they have that energy, meet them with that energy. You know, that's the best way.
And if it's not
Okay.
affecting your health or safety, then you don't really have to express an opinion about it. There's all kinds of people that you like or don't like, but if it's not affecting your personal health or safety, maybe that's just not for you, but you can stay quiet about it also.
Great point, Stephanie.
Also, believe
Hi.
people are not gay, heterosexual. They also show their affection in public. So what's wrong with the gay people doing it?
I can't really hear you, miss. Can you speak up a little louder?
Let me get my volume up.
Mhm.
I say heterosexual people are able to express themselves in their feelings in themselves in public. So why can't gay people be allowed to do so
Exactly.
without
You
us?
know, thank you for that comment. It's interesting because, you see all of these shows of, you know, even just going back to Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, and the love stories and the soap operas and all of these things of heterosexual couples being able to just be. And that's basically what we are trying to create. LGBT folks just being able to do what you guys do. Show affection to one another in public. Call each other a love or babe or honey. Be able to raise children. Research shows that actually children who have actually been raised in same-sex households comes up with more optimism and tends to be just as successful, if not more successful than their heterosexual counterparts. Any other questions or comments? All right, let's keep going. So let's continue with asking open-ended questions. For example, is there anything else that would help me ensure that you get most out of this visit? And people may be open to saying, yeah, my partner, they, them, theirs, he, she, and they may be the same sex, did something, and I just wanted to know if this is right, you know? Do not overwhelm patients with questions unrelated to the reason for their visit. That I think that's just, you guys understand that. It's, you know, common sense. Focus on care, not the orientation. Understand that sexual orientation does bring a list of other health risk factors and societal factors. For example, LGBT Black gay men are more susceptible in contracting HIV and other STDs because of lack of health care and the distrust within the medical society that that particular demographic holds, versus lesbians who may just who may deal with other smaller, minute issues compared to other demographics within the LGBT community. Prevent any awkward pauses immediately after the patient shares their sexual orientation or gender identity information. And when they share that, and if it's not of the norm, quote unquote, heterosexual, thank them for being open with you and continue with the visit. I think thanking them for being honest and open will allow them to be more honest and open with you. But if they actually share that, then either they have a medical issue that they have to be truthful about, and they feel comfortable with you. So it's two things, right? They feel comfortable with sharing that information, because not everyone will.
I just have to share a story. My daughter went to high school and played volleyball with this girl named Sarah, and then out of high school, Sarah decided to transgender, and she became Kyle. And so they were going to play volleyball together on a team after, you know, it's probably been after college. So it's probably been 4 or 5 years after. And Kyle was going to pick up my daughter because they were going to go on the east side and they were going to ride together. And my daughter hadn't seen her since, or him,
Kyle.
his transformation. And she goes, Mom, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to act. I said, well, just ask him about the transition. Just talk about it, because you knew Sarah and now she's changed. And she said, I feel so uncomfortable because she takes her shirt off. And that's weird to me. I said, well, just talk to her about it. I said, that would be less uncomfortable if you talk about it.
I will agree. And one rule of thumb, once a person transitions to another sex or identifies as another name, even in the past tense, if they were a different name, you always use the current name to describe them.
And it's so hard when you do that because you've always
Yes.
known them as Sarah. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
so hard to switch.
It is. And I get that, definitely.
Yeah.
It is hard. And I catch myself sometimes as well.
Yeah.
But Kyle has always been Kyle in Kyle's mind.
Yeah.
He is never identified as Sarah. And Kyle wants to be treated like a Kyle or a man. And so the best way for your daughter to approach that is to treat them like they want to be treated. And that is a person. And if it does make her uncomfortable to see Kyle's shirt off, you know, tell her to say, hey, you know, I'm a little, talk about the transition. And I think talking about the transition with Kyle and your daughter and Kyle having that conversation will allow Kyle to explain where he's going, how he's moving forward. And he will be able to teach your daughter how to treat him. Because if there's no communication there, you won't be able to truly continue that bond with Kyle, because Kyle is still Kyle just a name change, really.
Right.
Hmm. That spirit of that human being is still there. And I think that's one of the things that we all have to recognize. The spirit of that human being is still there and thriving.
Ask
Any
a
other
question?
questions or, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. I was wondering, is the gender identity, is that something that's protected under HIPAA? I don't think sex is protected, but is gender identity, is that something that as mental health clinicians in the hospital or in private practice, are we supposed to be keeping that confidential, especially with like health disparity? We don't know
Mhm.
how a patient will feel, like they might not want anybody, to know
Yeah.
what their gender identity is. Yeah.
So gender identity, I will say that it should definitely be protected. I'm not familiar with the HIPAA. I'm familiar with the HIPAA law, but I'm not sure, especially I know that when it comes to nursing, they have to be male or female. But some progressive organizations, like Henry Ford Health Systems, for example, they do have a non-binary radio button that when you're filling out your information online in my chart, that it does have a non-binary part. Or they also have other, and you can disclose that you are a trans woman, and then the pronouns automatically populates as well. So there are some things, some extra equity work that all medical organizations can do, and that's something I think gender identity should be protected, because you are assigned male at birth, but you identify as female, and that's something that definitely needs to be in there now.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? You got some good questions out here. Yes,
Hi, this is Tynesha. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a cast technician as well. Right. I have a question. So, in working with the older population, the geriatric population, do you or have you seen, I guess, discrimination amongst the groups? And I'm saying, like, working with a older population, particularly a gay male, and understanding or attempting to understand the I don't want to call them labels, but LGBTQ, all of that. And in having this conversation with this one particular male who identified as gay, is that he did not ascribe to the different I don't know what to call them. What should I call them? Are they labels? Are they pronouns? He just said in his day there was, gay, lesbian, straight. And so I guess my
And then
question
everything else,
is,
yeah.
right, do you or have you seen discrimination amongst the LGBTQ with the older population and maybe millennials?
Yes. So I will say this: there's discrimination within every culture. Some more than others. When it comes to the LGBTQ community, in the 1980s, when the clubs were opening in New York, a lot of the gay clubs did not allow transgender people inside. A lot of gay clubs did not let Black gay men inside. So we were still dealing off of the racism, the xenophobia that was happening within the United States. I mean, we all have to be honest about how this nation was founded ultimately. And that just goes generational. We really, right now, we can't get away from it. But yes, back in those days, gay Black men, that they only recognized gay Black men, and they had a few lesbian friends over here. These are the only people. And when it comes to LGB, lesbian, gays, and bisexual people, they honestly, a lot of them do not understand transgender folks because we don't live in their shoes. We don't walk in their life. We understand that we accept our cisgender identity, and and transgender folks do not. And that's the difference between, like, the second slide I show is that LGBT are sexual orientations and transgender is a gender identity. And that's because the inside between their ears doesn't match what's on the outside. And a lot of people can't come to terms with that because the majority of the population agrees with what's down there is up here too, you know? Um, and we have to just respect it. So how did your conversation go with that individual?
Well, I just it went well. I could not provide any of my own experience, so I just listened, to his bias, or just his bias towards the other, like transgendered, questioning, asexual, and I didn't have enough information, so I just let him explain, and the conversation went fine though, but I didn't
Okay.
have anything to add. So the reason why I asked, I just wanted to know, how does that then work with members of the community, gaining allies and wanting to be recognized, but there's fighting amongst the group or some dissension amongst the group. Is that holding back progress? That was the reason for my question.
Okay. Well, there are always going to be backlash for every kind of movement forward. We always have those people that are okay with what they have and their perspective. And that's okay. And we have to respect their decision of non-action. And so if the individual is like, I don't understand them, I don't want to talk to them, I'm not going to advocate for them, I'm in it for me, and that's on him. And that's his right. And when it comes to gaining allies, you're going to get a lot of no's. You are. But finding that one person, or being able to say, hey, I support you, or being a medical provider that just accepts everyone, that's your role. Your role can lift everyone up and and let other people or your patients have their own biases. But as long as you are producing and giving direct and great care to that patient at that time in that moment, that's all that truly matters. Your job is not to change their mind. Your job is to make sure that they are well and healthy when they leave. And that's the most important thing. So I really thank you for your question, Tanisha. That's really great. All righty.
You have Kevin, you have about 5 minutes.
Oh, perfect. I am almost done. That's perfect. So what is allyship? Allyship is a lifelong process of building relationships based on trust, consistency, and accountability with marginalized individuals and or group of people. Not self-defined, but the work and efforts must be recognized by those who you're seeking to be an ally with. So allyship can come in many shapes or forms. I can be an ally for the women's movement. I can be an ally for the Native Americans. And I'm not of that identity. I don't subscribe to being a woman. I don't subscribe to be of Native American descent. But I can research and ask them questions on how I can assist. How can I use what resources I have to help them move forward? If it's getting a meeting to this politician, or if it's helping them build their business, we all can be allies to so many different people. We just have to let our guard down and know that we're going to trip up and know that we're going to mess up, but apologize and move on. So these are some great tips, and I think this is my final slide, but to be an ally, and this is what I hope all of you will take away from this, is lift up others by advocating. Share growth opportunities with everyone that's in your network. Not view venting as a personal attack. Someone is just going in and saying, if they are venting about someone in your group, or if they're venting about someone in your group, don't think they're venting about everyone. in your group, don't think they're making a generalization. Just be like, okay, well, this is not a personal attack on me, but how can I help you get over this issue that you're having? And just be there with open ears and an open mind. Recognize systematic inequalities and realize impact of microaggressions. So microaggressions or micro triggers, as we like to call them now, is, for example, a woman may clutch their purse when an African-American man is walking by them. That's a microaggression. It's subconsciously they do it, but society has demonized Black skin, unfortunately. So people tend to do that. Assuming that a Hispanic person is a gardener or a carpenter. That is a microaggression as well. Assuming that their occupation can only be to farm and clean up, that's horrible. And we should stop doing that as well. So those are just a few. Oh, another microaggression is saying, hi, ladies, or hi, gentlemen, instead of saying hi, all, or hi, everyone, generalizing those terms and not using masculine and feminine nouns. Believe in underrepresented people experiences, believe in them, understand that. And then most importantly, listen, support, self-reflect, and change. If you're listening, then you can support people. You can take those actions that they give you and you can support them. When you mess up, you can self-reflect and say, I should have done this, or I could do this, and then change your actions moving forward. And that is just being an ally, just opening your minds to everything. I think that's it. Oh, yeah. So if you have any questions with about 2 minutes left, please let me know. My information is on the screen. Please feel free to email me there. IamKevinHurd.com is my own website, and as well as the Detroit LGBT Chamber, if you know any LGBT business owners that may need my help. And thank you for allowing me to be here, and great conversation and great questions.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Any other questions for Kevin? Any questions for Susan from Hospice of Michigan? All right. Well, in your inbox should be a evaluation. Feel free to please make sure you fill it out, and then we will get you your certificate by the end of the week. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Hope to see you again at another meeting, and just watch my website and emails, and they'll be coming your way. Okay. Thank you, Kevin, so much. Great presentation. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.